on the hardwood yesterday. It was an interesting situation here. LeBron James ejected from the Lakers' 121-116 W over the Pistons for striking Detroit big man Isaiah Stewart in the face while jostling for a rebounding position. The hit led to stoppage in action while Stewart, with blood streaming down his face, had to be held back multiple times by Detroit personnel as he tried to confront LeBron James. Following an official review, James was assessed a flagrant 2 foul and ejected. Stewart was assessed 2 technical fouls and ejected, and Lakers guard Russell Westbrook was called for a tech. The ejection was just the second of James' 19-year career. This was ugly, and it could have been even worse, Jay.
Look, people are saying Isaiah Stewart looking like right here when the light goes off, the plane lands, and the people in the back start trying to make their way to the front. That's what it looked like right there from Stewart.
Everyone in the league knows Bron not a dirty guy. I nearly hit him. As soon as he did it, he looked back at him and told him, "Oh, my bad, I didn't try to do it." I don't know what he was trying to do, but I know nobody on our team, 1 through 15, was having it. You know, we're gonna protect our brother. I've never, in 10 years, seen a player try to do that. Well, since I've been playing, it was uncalled for. You know, you got cut above your eye, accidental, like, you know, it wasn't on purpose. He wasn't gonna allow him to keep charging our brother like that.
What did the officials say that you were assessed a technical for?
Who got a tech?
You did. You did.
I got a tech? Oh, wow. Why'd I get a tech? I didn't know I had a tech.
Maybe de-escalate.
Wow. That's interesting. Well, you know, that's just being Russell, I guess. When you Russell Westbrook, they just try to do anything, apparently. But whatever. I don't know why I don't know what I did, but whatever. They had to put it on somebody. I'm the easy person to throw shit on. Why not me?
All right, I don't know if I need the third person from Russell Westbrook. And Anthony Davis, it was a little more than a cut above the eye, okay, for Isaiah. I mean, he downplayed that tremendously.
Yeah, it's bogus. All that from Anthony Davis. I mean, the Russ part's a non-story in this. What it comes down to is the face of the league, LeBron James, one of the greatest of all time, with a cheap shot. And you can't apologize after you deliberately look, try to shake him off, connect with a closed fist across a man's face. An apology right afterwards, don't stop that. There was intent there. It was done intentionally from LeBron James. And Isaiah Stewart has the absolute right to react like that. To be honest, Shay, I think if it was anybody but LeBron James, Stewart would have swung right off the jump when he came up towards LeBron. I think it was paying respect to the fact that this is LeBron James. So he came up hot, but most guys come up swinging in that moment. So that was, I think, a little bit of this is LeBron James. But then when Stewart realized blood was gushing down his face, I think then you realize, like, oh, this will require stitches. This guy really laid one on me. Now I'm really fired up. The more I process what's going on here, the injury that I've taken on, yeah, I'm furious. And I'm glad it didn't get to Malice in the Palace levels. But he had every right to be angry here. Every right.
So we were watching this together, and I said to Jordan, all right, Isaiah, relax as you're going to the locker room. Do you really need to have 3 dudes trying to hold you back? Like, what happened, happened. And I understand in the moment being frustrated, and instantly Jay responded to me and was like, no, that was dirty. That wasn't right.
Yeah, it wasn't right. But, you know, people look at moments like this and say they can define a game. It certainly did for the Lakers, who were trailing by 10 points in that moment. LeBron gets ejected. Stewart gets ejected. The Lakers become a fortified, galvanized group, go on to win. And for a group that's kind of stumbled here with injuries, playing without LeBron, to rally around him, maybe we see a Lakers group come together and go on a run. Maybe we look back at this moment, this ugly moment, a cheap shot from LeBron, and say, that was a turning point for the Lakers season. But beyond all that, LeBron, this is a very bad look. It was without question a cheap shot.
To the NBA we go, and around the association. We started out with Knicks and Bulls in the house that Jordan built. And yet again, DeMar DeRozan is...
He delivered. DeMar DeRozan did. A big fourth quarter for the Bulls. 31 points from DeMar, who's a legit MVP contender. And the Knicks sitting there thinking, where's the ROI? Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker have not provided much for these Knicks.
I was thinking you were going to go delivering, but...
I just follow the graphic.
I got you. Bulls rallied in the fourth, beat the Knicks 109-103. Okay, Warriors still rolling, welcoming the Raptors to the Bay Area. And while the Warriors keep winning, so does their future, Jay.
It's promising, Shay. When you got guys like Poole and Wiggins doing what they're doing, this Warriors team continues to shine. And, oh, by the way, Klay Thompson should be back around Christmas. Hope the league thought it was sweet beating up on these Warriors for the last few seasons. They're back in a big way.
Not this year. Poole and Wiggins, first pair of Warriors teammates to have 30 points in a game since Durant and Curry did it. Warriors win 119-104. Clippers hosting the Mavs. Mavs still without Luka. But Paul George on the other side, Jay? What are we going to call him?
Poster P. Get up with Greeny. Are you kidding me? An extra step on that man's ladder. Do not jump. You're embarrassing your family if you do. Posterize for all of eternity.
Embarrassing your family. Clippers win 97-91. Earlier today, we also talked about LeBron and Isaiah Stewart. And so there's been quite a bit of cheap shots, if you will, going around the sports world. And so this got us to thinking maybe there are some really good cheap shots, especially in the NBA, that we should revisit.
Yeah, and look, the list could have been about 50 deep, but I just want to pick out three that kind of came to mind quickly to go back and rewind the clock to look at. I think back to 2002. This was one of the funnier ones because in basketball, rarely do you see a high karate kick like you did in 2002 with the Spurs, Wolves. Bruce Bowen, the best defender in the NBA at the time. Wally Zerbiak, a flat-out scorer. What a kick to the jaw.
Now that doesn't feel good.
Can't feel good right there.
No, not at all. That would definitely be considered a cheap shot. Okay, I like that one. You got another one for us?
How about we go to 2007? This is Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. Suns were on their way to a win here. Steve Nash, a two-time MVP, hip checked by big shot Bob Horry. Now, why I put this in is because the Suns will clear the bench to come to the defense of their guy, Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw.
Yep.
And because they left the bench, they would serve a one-game suspension. So the Spurs capitalized on winning Games 5 and Game 6, and they would ultimately go on, the Spurs, after winning those over the Suns, to win the title. So that moment right there actually played to the benefit of the Spurs. Horry ejected, but a two-game suspension for 2 stars, and the Spurs were able to capitalize.
Okay, so that's interesting because following this fight that we just saw over the weekend between Isaiah and LeBron, you heard a lot of the Lakers say this can be a defining moment in the season when you have these kind of things that can either tear apart or bring together a locker room. So we'll see how it proceeds. Next one, 1997.
How old were you in 1997? 11 years
11.
old.
Nice.
11 years old. And the Knicks and the Heat, they always had beef. Eastern Conference Finals, Charlie Ward, one of the most calm, collected guys, body slammed by the much bigger P.J. Brown. 6 suspensions would come from this incident. At the time, a postseason record. The Heat, they would rally around their group to complete a 3-1 series comeback and advance to the NBA Finals.
We call that a body slam. It's like a cartwheel. A human flipped you over and then put you on the ground. It was more of a cartwheel.
And looking back to those 90s, the Knicks were some of the toughest teams during that time. You had Charles Oakley, you had Anthony Mason, you had legit guys who would go out there and mix things up. And on the other side with the Heat, you had guys like Alonzo Mourning, tough guys in their up front, P.J. Brown. These two teams will go back and forth for years to come. There's the funny video of Jeff Van Gundy holding on to a player by the foot and being dragged across the floor. Pat Riley used to be the Knicks head coach, moved on to the Heat, so there's some bad blood there. But when I think about nostalgia of cheap shots and fights and beef in the 90s, you think about a lot of those Knicks-Heat games.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.